Hello, this is Paul with Logix Magazine. You ready for some hands-on training? And that's what we're going to talk about today, my friends. It's exciting when you get that opportunity to get away from the house, to go into a seminar or workshop and touch the hardware and wire the devices and understand how all that hardware gets integrated and networks are created, and you then you're able to write some programs, put it into the software, and see how it runs, see how that whole network is integrated. A lot of times there's just nothing that beats hands-on training. You've got to get out of the house and away from the desk and away from the laptop and get to a hands-on training seminar or workshop. And that's what I want to focus on today. Now, we're going to talk about why would you want to go to a hands-on seminar or workshop? What are the reasons that what can you get from? What's the real value? Then we're going to talk about the things you need to look for between the different types of seminars and workshops. Very important. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually refer you to somebody I trust, somebody who's going to take you by the hand and walk you through every single thing that you need to know in the shortest amount of time necessary to train you. Because this guy I know, he knows that you're going to go back home. He knows you're going to be programming at home. So he's going to want to make sure that you are as thoroughly trained as possible and ready to go to work day one on the job. All right. So we'll get more on that, but you're going to have to stick around to the end. And I'm going to give you a huge discount. I don't normally talk about selling and programs and things, but this is somebody I trust. This is a program that I really want to recommend you to. Live seminar training, in person, live workshops. All right. So we'll get into that, but you got to stick around to the end. All right. Okay. So let's go ahead and get started. And I'm going to work off a list here that I put together. Actually, I didn't put this together. My friend did. I sent them an email. His name is Phil Buchanan, right? Key Automation Training down in Atlanta, Georgia. Okay. Now, I just said, hey, what are some of the top reasons people take in-person seminars, training, and workshop in the automation robotics field? So he sent me his information. I started putting something together. I said, let me talk to somebody, a real pro, somebody who does it. That's their day job, is training in person. So we're going to go down through his list. So now, number one, he says that you can get an instructor that can spend time with you one-on-one and that you can ask questions directly and get the answers immediately versus waiting for someone to answer them via an email, phone call. One of the biggest things is being new. You got to find somebody to trust, a mentor, somebody who's at a much higher level. And it's really, we can do a lot through Zoom calls and things of that nature, but nothing beats meeting them, looking them in the eye and saying, yep, that's somebody who knows what he's doing, somebody who's very good, and somebody I can trust to help me build my career. That's very important in my opinion. Now, number two, he says you're getting a training experience that's more tailored to your needs. You got to realize everybody in a seminar comes from a different work environment, different facility, and each one has different processes, different hardware, software, different needs, different levels of training. So the instructor can help tailor, because a lot of them will send you a questionnaire to understand what it is, your processes at work, and how they can best help you learn in a tailored manner. When you get that kind of custom training, that's hard to beat. It's very, very valuable, right? All right. He says, number three, that the learning time is cut down by multiples because you have instant interaction and feedback. A person can teach themselves to play the piano by a video or a trial and error, but it would take many years. A good piano teacher beside you can have you playing the basics very well in a few lessons. And I think that's the best metaphor. I don't think I could build off that. That's great. And it is so true. Having somebody in person right here looking over you as you work on your projects is invaluable. as you work the hardware and you're tightening the terminals and you're wiring things in and you're plugging in network cables, you're trying to get that hands-on tactile experience and have them right here. No, don't put that there, put that here, right? Here's how you read that, that data sheet. So that kind of stuff is just invaluable. And I, if of all the things that I'm learning, I would love to have an instructor here all the time of all the stuff that I'm learning. It's impractical, really. So what you need to do is get a compact, short period of time and get some hands-on, some live training, look somebody in the eye type of experience, right? That's extremely valuable. Says number 4, that you get to network and connect with other students who are on similar paths, and these connections can be very valuable to your career for years to come. Very true. The old idea of I'm going to pass out business cards and get to know people couldn't be a better opportunity, because you're not trying to sell something, right? You're just saying, hey, this is who I am, this is what I do, and and I collect every business card I can possibly get from everyone. I try to get to know them to grow my network. I want them to know who I am and what it is I do, right? Which is real important as you grow your network. And as you grow in that network, you're going to grow this network in a way to help them, to support them, to encourage them, right? And you would hope that if it's a good reciprocal relationship, they're going to offer the same in return. Okay, very, very important. Number 5, they get to work as an individual in a team environment and learn from students from other industries. I know that when I've done training, I learn almost as much or more from the people sitting to the right and left of me as I do from the instructor. And if you don't have live seminar or live workshop experience, trust me, you're going to learn things from the people sitting around you as much. So do yourself a favor. You look at the curriculum. Imagine that if you go to a good seminar, you think it out through, and you're open to the people around you, right? To talking to them and creating a relationship, you can expect to double that knowledge. That curriculum is going to be twice as much, especially when you create a relationship later, like, oh, I got a program, I'll send it to you. Oh, I got a video, I'm going to forward it to you. All these things, even after the residual from the experience of the training, you're going to have a residual relationship with these people that will go and could last for years. I have them that I've met years ago in training that I still have relationships with to this very day. And you want to do the exact same thing. All right. Number 6, they get to learn from other industries, from other students in real time and interact and ask questions. They learn different techniques and programming methods that come from other industries. Now, what's important is, I'll give you an example of number 6. If you were going there and you're going to take an Allen Bradley workshop, person sitting next to you have only done Siemens, but they're really good at Siemens. And they're like, oh, this is similar to Siemens. This is similar to Siemens. This is different. This is blah. You're going to have an opportunity to understand the material that you're learning and what other people's experiences are, and how that might correlate to what you're doing. If you understand some of the other industries, the processes that they endure, that they work with, the systems and process and protocols that they use, then what you're going to, generally what happens in my case, I get a little less intimidated when I think about what that person, that software, that process, that industry is doing. I then become, wow, I understand a lot more, right? And that interaction with the fellow students is real important. Understand, ask them about what it is they do, the processes, the equipment, the software, the hardware, right? Ask them what they're doing. Learn as much as you can about them. And 7, students can bring in their programs and their prints and ask the instructor questions. That is awesome. If you got a project or you got a program that you're working with at home and you'd like the instructor to take a look at it, there is no better time than when you're right there and say, hey, would you mind taking a look at something? For you new programmers, bring that portfolio. I mean, they're not going to be able to go line by line but they might just be willing to take a look at it sometime during the during after the training sessions, but during the few days that you spend with them. And that would be invaluable if they took that time. Some will, some won't. It wouldn't hurt to ask and get to know them, get a feel for them. Don't just bombard them. Start creating a relationship. Let them know that you're seriously passionate about learning this. You're not there because your boss told you to be there. You're there because you are truly passionate about what it is that you do. And they will see that, sense that, and work to create that relationship. I guarantee you're going to receive a lot more than that curriculum for those training period. Right? Guarantee it. No doubt about it. Okay. So what do you look at when you're looking at workshops to go to, right? What are you looking at? What is it that you should look for? Okay, so this friend of mine, Phil Buchanan, in Key Automation Training, they don't use simulators, PLC simulators like Logix Pro, PLC Logix, RS Logix Emulate, like some of the other workshops do. He uses real PLCs, which are the same hardware the student will find in his or her facility running the equipment. So everything's live in his workshop. Everything's live hardware. And truthfully, if it's just software simulation, you can do that at home. Do a Zoom, right? Do a Zoom meeting. But if you get, what you want is hands-on training. You want to touch the processor, right? You want to touch that processor. Let's see if I don't have one out. But you want to feel it. You want to touch it. You want to open the little doors, and you want to hit the little buttons and levers and you want to twist that thing around, right? So let me stop this. I'll go grab one and we'll come. All right, I went and grabbed one. This is a Siemens ET200SP. So what you want to do is, man, you want to touch this. You want to, if you don't get your hands on it, you may not know that this is, so it's not mounted, right, on the rail, then it moves around. You want to feel what it's like to actually remove one. You want to feel it. How do I push that down? This has a special way. Yes, you can see things in a video in it, but until you touch it and feel it and hear it click, and understand that live, you're gonna miss some. You're gonna miss some stuff, right? You want to open up doors. You want to feel that toggle, feel that SD card. You want to know what that's like. You want to pull your connectors out and then push them back in. Nothing can replace hands-on. Okay, all right. So you want to find out in a workshop how much are you going to be sharing the equipment? So you're watching 50% of the time, and you're working on the hardware 50% of the time, or do you have a workstation all to your own? Phil's workshop, one station, one student. A lot of workshops do have 2 or 3, or even I've seen 4 students on one workstation. Very important. Try to find a really good instructor like Phil, and identify, are you going to get a hands-on, actual physical hands-on, and are you going to be able to have a workstation to yourself? That way you have constant interactive learning versus passive learning, just watching somebody else. Something to think about, right? Okay. And he talks about class size. Okay. He has classes. It's only 6 people. No more than that. And I agree with him. He says that you can't give individual attention to 20 students. It's impossible. It's a lecture type of class versus 6 people is at the level that you can give attention to each and every one of them. An instructor is like anybody else. They can look at something, they can listen, they can hear, right? And they can take just a few minutes and say, I know right where you're at. Let me help you. Couple of minutes and say, work on this. I guarantee you this will make a difference. And then your job is to work on that You just want somebody who can point, see what you're doing and point you in the right direction. And if you get a maestro, a real professional, they only need a few minutes to see what you're doing, and they can really point you in the right direction, right? Now, you wouldn't want that in 20 students, because it would literally be only a minute or two. But with 6 students, you're going to get a lot of quality time with this instructor, all right? So let's move on. So, another thing is some of the online seminars, they have a hard sales pitch, right? They're selling software, they're selling hardware, they're selling everything they can. I recommend, look, if your company's sending you to a place and they're paying for it, and you don't really have a choice, take the training. What you're going to find is you're going to end up with this big corporate spiel, this really expensive, crazy ass pricing, and all, just all kinds of stuff. And you'll know, you bought cars and houses and things in the past. You know a sales pitch when you see one. And I myself, I don't do well with that type of relationship. I'm somebody I can trust to point me in the right direction and make sure I learn what it is I need to know. So Phil, he's not that kind of guy. You won't run into that. Phil's not like that. Down to earth kind of guy. And the other thing, number 5, he points out, look, if you ask him about PLC history, he's going to tell you. He's going to know. He knows the history of it. He knows a lot of details about stuff that's in the industry. But for being a new person, getting hands-on training, there's a whole lot of stuff you don't need to know. You don't need to waste time on the history. You don't need to know that, 5 or 6 different processors, how much memory they have and how much this and how much that. Look, what you need to learn is remember my 5.1s, right? One processor, one program, study it, do it well. Focus on one thing. That's what a in-person hands-on workshop is, a really focused, intensely focused training session, right? To learn exactly what you need to know. Do you really need to know the history of PLCs? I don't think so. All right, so something to think about. Phil wants you to learn what you need to know. Look, you can go home and read about the history. What you need to know is how to do the job, and that's what Phil's about. All right. Now he has a couple of different instructors, as I understand it. All of his instructors have 25 years in real field experience in maintenance, engineering, automation, OEM machine builders, etc. And that's what you want. Somebody with real experience, long-term experience, a senior controls engineer. That's who you want to learn hands-on from. And of course, everything that they do is all hands-on. Okay, they don't do a bunch of lectures. That's not what he does. He's going to have a brief discussion about something with you. He's going to be right in the midst of it, and he's going to walk you through it. Okay, he's going to walk you through it hands-on, over-the-shoulder kind of work, which is what I like. He's not going to waste a whole lot of time with outdated subjects like manual conversions of binary numbers, and you're not going to need none of that crap. Okay. You're not going to need, if you're designing a system from scratch, there's stuff you do need to know. You're still learning. Okay, you're still in the early stages of learning. There's a whole lot of stuff you don't need to know because you're not working at that level. You need practical, hands-on knowledge. So when you leave that workshop seminar and you go out in the real world, you really know what you're doing. You've got the hands-on, you're focused on the important information, and you don't waste time on stuff that's not important at this time and point in your career. All right. You want to look for a workshop or a seminar that gives a two-way dialogue, so that the students get to find out what the instructor's thinking. The instructor needs to help correct any misconceptions about the material, especially questions that don't always get asked. And I bring that because the instructor needs to probe and find out where you're confused, because a lot of people, they don't want to admit they don't know something, especially you guys. right? You don't want to admit, I don't know nothing. I know this. Well, in fact, you don't. And you need to be open and honest about the fact that you don't know something. And if that instructor is willing to answer your question, then you need to speak up and let them know that you don't know something. But a good instructor understands the hesitancy. A good instructor will work to pull that out of you and help you find areas that you're confused and help answer that, right? That's what a good instructor does. And Phil's a good instructor. All right. So, now, if you want to sit down in a nice, quiet little space and you want to just write your programs and everybody's whispering, you're not going to do well with this type of workshop, right? This is going to be loud. People are going to be talking. They're going to be interacting. They'll be working with hardware. They're going to be asking questions. But if you've ever worked in an engineering environment, and most of you haven't, it can be, especially on the floor, on the machine, and you got multiple types of engineers, mechanical engineers, managers, you got production, machine builders, you got controls engineers. It's a active, a bit noisy type of environment. That's going to be a good workshop. And that's the type of workshop Phil runs. Hey, people joke around, they have fun. It's a very relaxed type of environment. You're not going to, some sort of boot camp class where everybody's got to be quiet. You only talk when you're ready. That's not. Who wants to learn like that, right? You want a relaxed, jovial, fun learning environment, and that's what you want, right? That's what you look for in a seminar workshop, in my opinion. In particular, Phil's class, they spend a lot of time being active and involved in the learning process. His number one goal is that you don't get, his number one goal is that you're safe, you learn something, and you don't get bored. Because if you get bored, you're not going to learn anything, and you're most certainly not going to be safe. Okay? Safety, learning, and fun. All right? Then you got to have fun doing this. If you're not going to have fun, go do something else. Simple as that. All right? Now, for those of you who are still with me, I told you I'm gonna do something for you, and I don't do this. I think it might be one of the only times I've ever done it. If you go to Phil and you mention this code, it's Logix 20KA. I'll put that down in the notes. You mention that, right? And then he's going to give you a 10% discount, all right? I'm here to tell you, you can't go wrong with Phil. You're going to look at Phil and you're going to say, man, that's just an average, regular guy. But this guy knows his business. He'll look at you in just a few minutes and ask a few questions, know exactly where you're at in your skill set, and exactly what you need to learn to level up, all right? And in what order, and he'll be able to tell you exactly what you need to know, and he'll help you. And the other thing, again, I cannot overemphasize, hands-on training, right? Whatever platform you want to learn, at some point, you got to get hands-on training, right? There's just nothing beats it. You're just not, he's got a whole workstation that's very expensive to put together. It's very hard to build a network like that, especially when you don't know anything about it. Talk to Phil, right? He'll even give you great ideas of how to build your own workshop at home, all right? Your own workstation. So there's a lot of questions you can ask. Again, when you get a hold of him, and I'll put the contact information down below, it's Phil Buchanan from Key Automation Training and .com, and just mention Logix 20KA, and he'll give you a 10% discount. Just basically telling Paul from Logix Magazine sent you. Look, guys, it's not about selling. What I'm trying to do is help you. I'm trying to do everything I can to make it easy for you to decide, is doing a hands-on training seminar the right thing for me right now? And I can't answer that question. You have to answer it. But if you decide that it is, you won't go wrong with Key Automation Training and Phil Buchanan. You just tell him I sent you, and I guarantee you he's going to treat you right. You're going to give you the best. And even more important, the final note here is, don't go down there and take this training. Don't get the discount. Don't spend 3, 4, 5 days with Phil, all right, and learn stuff. That's not as important as the relationship you're going to have with him during and after your training. Create a good relationship with him, because you will never, ever get to a point where you know everything. He's in the industry. He's a senior controls engineer. And I'll tell you what, that's what you want in your back pocket. That's what you want. Somebody you can say, send an email, make a phone call and say, I got a problem. What's my best resource for this? And I tell you, that's incredibly powerful. All right? So until next time, this is Paul with Logic Magazine. Ask yourself, is now a good time for some hands-on training? Right? Get your hands on. Until next time, this is Paul with Logic Magazine. You guys get out there. Continue programming, man. I gotta get back to it myself. Talk to you guys later. Bye.